What's up, Brendan? How are you?
I'm good. How about you, man?
I'm pretty good. Are you having fun at your apartment?
Not really. I've just been sitting around all day. I just got
Well,
out, but
that's what I do pretty much every day. So that sounds pretty fun to me at least. Anyways, I appreciate you coming on, especially like so soon after I kind of mentioned this podcast with you.
yeah, of course.
I feel like I'm super excited to have this conversation just because I know when I first heard, I don't know if you remember, but I heard because I was like over listening to like a conversation between you and one of our other coworkers, and I was like, "What?" And then I just butted myself into the conversation.
Yeah.
But for the people at home, could you talk a little bit about how you got into pro gaming? Like, essentially, let's go from the very start. Like, when you were a kid, was it just you playing video games? When did you start like kind of getting interested in that whole world?
Yeah, so I've been gaming my whole life. Was introduced to video games by my dad probably at 3 years old, I'd say.
Wow.
Um, was playing Call of Duty when I was like 5.
Mhm.
So pretty much all throughout elementary, middle school, and high school was big time gamer. Spent a ton of hours playing games. In high school, wasn't the best student, and
Mhm.
definitely missed a lot of school playing games, but have since kind of changed that. But yeah, growing up, it was definitely just a lot of hours put in, and then eventually it started to transition to something that I felt like could actually be profitable. So
That's insane. And also, I guess I should preface this to everyone listening and you. I I think the extent of my gaming is Call of Duty. So if I say something that sounds stupid, I apologize in advance. But I must ask, like, when you were playing Call of Duty at 5 years old, were you one of those kids who would have like their mic on and be like yelling like into
no,
the mic and stuff?
I was always quiet because
Okay.
back in the day in Call of Duty, if you were a little squeaker,
Yeah.
you'd get screamed at. So I was a little too scared to do that. But um,
Dang, that would have been funny. Okay, so you've always been playing. Was your dad just also super into it? He was just like showing you the reins or
yeah, so my dad, he was always into PC hardware. He liked
Mhm.
buying the new stuff. So um, he built his own computer kind of before.
Got
Like building a PC
got
was
it.
really streamlined. Nowadays, it's not that hard, but back then, there was no YouTube and there were no
Mhm.
guides. So um, he was really into it early on. Gaming back then was uh, much worse than it is today, but
Mhm.
um, it was
That's
always kind of a
crazy.
passion of his, and he passed that on to me and my older brother as well.
So that's cool. So you were always playing on PC, like you never did any consoles?
I did play console for a bit, so Call of Duty was console,
Okay.
obviously, but
Okay.
um, probably I want to say sixth grade, so when I was 12, got my first laptop and was a laptop gamer for a while. And
Uh-huh.
then I got to a point where you're kind of limited by your laptop, so I
Yeah.
eventually built my own computer when I was 18.
Okay. Got it. So let's skip to like so when did you start getting super serious with this? Like, was it when you got your own computer, or was it like what was the moment you're like, hey, like I'm pretty good at this? I mean, I assume if it was Fortnite, that came out what, like 2020? When did that
Yeah,
come out?
yeah. Fortnite came out in 2018.
Oh
I
wow.
knew I was playing League of Legends before that.
Uh-huh.
Although there was an age limit to competing in League of Legends, so I was pretty good at League, but I knew that I couldn't compete just because of limitations. So when
Okay,
Fortnite came out, that was my senior year of high school,
got
and
it.
Fortnite didn't really have any limits. The age limit was 16, so I was well above that, as well as it
Mhm.
was a brand new game, so it was kind
Yeah.
of an even playing field. So um, I got in pretty early, so that was kind of when I realized, all right, I've got a good chance here.
Uh-huh.
Fortnite was blowing up, and I figured there was going to be a lot of money once the esports scene developed. So um, that
Did
was
you
kind
just
of,
know that the game was going to be as big as it was, or was it just kind of you banking on like, hey, it's a new game and I can get pretty good at it?
I think, well, everyone knew that it was a popular game. I
Mhm.
think I was banking on the casual popularity to transfer into a competitive scene. So
Got it. Got it.
obviously,
Was
like, you know, I'm a bit older than you, I think, but like probably when you
yeah.
were a junior or sophomore and when I
Okay.
was a senior,
Yeah.
Fortnite was like everybody was playing it. Like
Yeah.
if you talk to
Yeah.
any guy, they played Fortnite. So I
Probably.
figured that there was going to be some transfer into the competitive space, and it ended up being that year in 2019. There was pretty massive allocation from Epic Games
Uh-huh.
to the competitive space. So um, I didn't make it any big commitments until I saw that clarification from Epic Games, and then
Yeah, yeah.
once I heard about the big prize pools coming in, I figured I'd take the chance.
Interesting. So were you like one of the first adopters of the game, or like how long was the like game out when you joined?
No, there were plenty of people that had played Fortnite before me,
Okay,
so
okay.
um, I was still kind of playing League of Legends when
Hmm.
a lot of um, just anybody playing on their console started to get into Fortnite and it started to blow up. And I
Hmm.
remember thinking, do I want to give up League to play Fortnite? I'm really having fun with this game. So I was probably 6 months after a lot of the really popular Fortnite people started to blow up. So like
Uh-huh.
Ninja and Myth, like
Yeah,
the
yeah,
household
yeah,
names that are,
yeah.
but
So
I was,
it's like a type of thing where you have to choose which game you want to do, and you just like only play that one game.
yeah, I mean, theoretically you could play multiple, but it's really hard to compete at a high
Hmm.
level. So
Got
I
it.
guess the analogy would be like sometimes
It's
you'll
like
see
sports.
athletes
Yeah,
where
yeah.
they play football and
Hmm.
baseball, but the reality is to
It's really
compete at a high
difficult.
level, it's pretty
Yeah.
much impossible to do both.
So you knew, like, how do you figure out when you're playing League that you knew you wanted to go competitive? Like, was it just because you were beating like really good people? Like, to like the everyday listener, like, what metric were you using to like figure out like, hey, like, I'm really good at this game. I think I can like go pro.
Yeah, so League of Legends has a pretty structured ranking system. So after
Hmm.
um you can play normal matches, and then once you get to a certain level, you can start to play ranked where you'll gain
Okay.
points, and then over time it'll give you an
Uh,
idea of how you're ranked. So the ranks will go bronze, silver, gold, and then all the way up. So um, in high school, I was around top 200 in North America, so that was pretty good, but like not going to be on one of the better professional teams.
mhm.
Fortnite is a bit different though, because there isn't really a formal ranking structure. So
Yeah.
it had a lot to do with communicating through Discord about who was good.
Mhm.
It was a lot about people gatekeeping, and
Really?
you had to build those relationships with people in order to get um,
Wow. So it
recognition.
was political, huh?
Yeah, because there wasn't, oh, I'm a higher rank than you,
Uh-huh.
let me in, let me
Yeah,
practice,
yeah,
let me in the
yeah.
scrimmages. So
Interesting.
you had to show one of the few guys that ran the Discord that you were one of the top players. So yeah, there was a lot of politics early on,
Wow.
and then a lot
I
of
did not. Yeah, go ahead.
a lot of your placement in what they called the professional Discord, which was just a server with all the best players in the world, was based on who you knew.
Wow. This is like I didn't expect all that. That's crazy. And I'm pretty sure I'll have more questions on that. But let's go to like when you started getting really good at Fortnite. This was like your like you started getting into these professional discords. What was like kind of the craziest part during that like climb up? Like, or like when did you start to realize like, hey, like this could be like something way bigger than I thought it could be, or something like that?
Yeah. So the summer after I graduated from high school, I knew I was going to be going to Maryland. Was spending a
Mhm.
lot of time that summer just playing video games, kind of enjoying my last summer before school.
Yep.
And then once school started, it was pretty much I would go to class, I'd come home, I'd do scrimmages in
Hmm.
the semi pro league at the time, and me and my duo teammate, we were
Hmm.
pretty high at the start of that fall semester, my first semester of college. And over the course of that semester, we became pretty dominant in the semi pro league, and it
Got
became
it.
clear that we were going to get promoted. So um,
Hmm.
I remember one night we were playing scrimmages and we were just dominating. I think we won like maybe 5 out of 6 games,
Uh-huh.
and it ended at 2 a.m. And I remember I walked across campus to Subway. I was so pleased with myself because at that point I knew. Yeah,
Yeah.
I knew we were going to get promoted, and I'd already thought about, okay, am I going to have to go to the admissions office and say I think I might drop out?
Yeah.
Um, so I remember that moment was pretty funny looking back. I had to start to plan the pitch to my mom to let me
That's
take time off
insane.
of school. So
So you said like the person you're duo with, I assume like you're playing with someone else. Was that person also like another student, or was this just one of your friends from home or something like that?
yeah, so it was just a guy that I'd met. So when Fortnite, the competitive scene was kind of just starting to get built, there was pretty much all your communication was over Discord.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Okay. Okay.
um, there were no tournaments kind of right at the beginning, so you would share your stats from public matches and
Hmm.
say, "Oh, I have a 50% win rate."
Yeah.
I have a certain kill death ratio. So
Mhm.
back then it was very hard to find teammates because it was solely based on stats, not on how
Yeah.
good you actually are in tournaments. So um, my teammate was also a college student.
Uh-huh.
We kind of followed a similar path. Um,
Interesting.
so over the course of my career, though, I played with a lot of different teammates. So
Mhm. Do you feel like you've met or at least made like connections beyond just like someone who's in your set headset through like this, like through gaming and stuff like that? Or would you say it's primarily kept at like you put on your headset and then y'all like talk, or is there any like extension of that like relationship outside of it?
yeah, definitely a lot of my closest buddies from Fortnite we've met in person. One of the big events we went to was the Fortnite World Cup, which was kind of like a big culmination of all of the relationships you built.
Oh
And
wow.
everyone met up in New York and at the massive Fortnite World Cup. That was summer 2019.
Mhm.
But
That sounds crazy.
it,
So as far as like you okay, so you're going to Subway, you know, like there's a real possibility that you're gonna drop out. So at this point, you know it is like it's definitely within reach. What like do you end up dropping out and what does that look like?
yeah, so at the time I had no idea why I was even going to college. Like
Mhm.
I was a pretty decent student in high school, but kind of just got by,
Yeah.
not really on work ethic, but
Mhm.
I managed to scrape by. So I went to college, um, had no clue what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
So that was kind of my pitch to my mom was like, I'll take this time to play video games, pursue a passion, and then I'll
Mhm.
also try to figure out long term. Right, I knew I was going to go back to college at some point, so figure out what I wanted to do and study long term. So um, I figured
Got
that
it.
I wouldn't be in gaming um, after college, but I knew at some point I was going to have to get that degree. So
Mhm. So was it like what were people's reactions? Like what was your mom's reaction? What was like the counselor or whoever you told that you're like dropping out from Maryland? Like what did these
yeah,
people say?
yeah, my mom's she always has been really supportive.
Uh-huh.
So it took a bit of convincing, but definitely less than I think most people's parents would have taken.
Yeah.
Um, as for the rest of my family, I think like my extended family were kind of just like, what is he doing? Like,
Mhm.
because everyone in my family goes to 4 year college, and
Yeah.
it was pretty unexpected to have someone drop out, especially
Mhm.
because I wasn't dropping out for academic reasons. But um, I think initially there was a lot of questioning,
Yeah.
but then as I started to get tournament results, I think the placements and like the money you can make from gaming starts to speak for itself, and
Yeah.
a lot of those
Agreed.
questions go away. So
Agreed. Agreed. So yeah, let's like dive into that a little deeper. What was like the first kind of major point? Like how were you prove like sorry, with those actions, like what was the first one where you like kind of proved people wrong? Like was there a specific tournament or like
yeah,
a specific win you had?
yeah. So shortly after I withdrew from UMD,
Mhm.
I was playing in a European tournament, which from North America, you're gonna have bad connection.
Mhm.
So me and my teammate, this was pretty unheard of at the time. People play across region a lot now, but back then we placed fifth in a pretty large European tournament.
Mhm.
And at the time, people were like, how could you possibly place playing on a European server? Your connection
Mhm.
is going to be terrible.
Yeah.
You're going to have to play with lag. Um, but
So
despite
is
that,
that something you had to do? Like, did you play with lag and still win, or did you just like have like the network to not have it be a problem?
you're going to have lag no matter what, no
Okay,
matter how good your internet is to
got it.
other continents. But it's still playable.
Mhm.
And if you're smart, you can still place well. So nowadays you see players playing across region all the time, but back
Mhm.
then that was kind of unheard of. So
Got it.
when we first placed in that was kind of the first thing where people noticed like, hey, like, aren't these guys from Pennsylvania? And isn't the other guy from Texas? Like how are they placing in a European tournament? So that was kind of the first recognition of me and my teammate, I think, outside of just the niche professional community. And
That's crazy. So are you like, are there prizes for these like larger tournaments, or is it only like a few?
yeah, so Fortnite, there's been a really big shift in pricing. So, like
Mhm.
I said, in 2019, Epic Games, the company that
Yeah.
developed Fortnite, um,
Mhm.
Fortnite was booming in 2018, booming at the start of 2019, and towards the end of 2019, they announced 100 million. in prize pools for Fortnite
Wow.
tournaments that year, which
Mhm.
is pretty much unheard of. There's a few tournaments that have really big prize pools, but that was
Mhm.
a complete shock to a lot of people in the esports
Yeah.
scene. So that was kind of the catalyst for convincing me that there's a real opportunity here. So um,
Was this like, was the European one like one of those prize pools, or did like Epic Games make that announcement after?
um, I believe that it would have been after this announcement,
Mhm.
but this wasn't the Fortnite World Cup. So the Fortnite World Cup
Got it.
had a good portion of that 100 million. So that was by
Okay.
far the biggest tournament. So this tournament we won, I think we won 5 grand split. So
Dang. Still,
definitely
that's like insane.
not terrible, but not
Yeah,
life-changing money. But
that makes sense. What would you say like the Fortnite World Cup was the biggest tournament you've ever competed in?
yeah, so I competed in the qualifiers. So this is
Uh-huh.
kind of goes to why I decided to stop playing Fortnite. But really, my goal was to qualify for the Fortnite World Cup. So only
Mhm.
30 people from North America qualified.
Wow.
Me and my
Okay.
teammate, we ended up losing a tiebreaker. So
Jeez.
it was top four qualify. We got fifth. And we had the same amount of points as fourth, but
Uh-huh.
there was a stipulation
Wow.
that
Wow.
had them beat us. So uh, even if you showed up to the World Cup, you plugged your keyboard and mouse in and stood
Mhm.
there and did nothing, you got 50,000 for last.
Wow. Wow.
If you
That's
won
crazy.
the Fortnite World Cup, you got 3 million.
Oh my
So
God.
that was a really tough loss to take. Remember after that, because we still got some consolation money. I think we both got 5 grand, but I
Mhm.
remember sitting there like, damn,
I would
even if I
too.
showed up to this tournament and did nothing, I'd be 50 grand richer. And if not,
Jesus
I
Christ.
could be 6 figures, 7 figures richer. So that was a hard loss to take.
Uh-huh.
But
That's crazy. Would you say that was like your most memorable tournament, or was there one that you like really enjoyed?
yeah, I'd say so. I think probably most people, now that I'm retired, would remember me
Mhm.
from the World Cup tiebreaker. It was definitely like on Twitter, people were talking about it.
Wow.
I think the other thing would be the collegiate Fortnite. So after I'd competed professionally, I went back to college, and
Mhm.
with the competitive experience in the professional scene, it was I would say you compare it to like LeBron going to go play
Yeah.
in March Madness.
Yeah.
Like
College
so,
football or college basketball. Yeah.
when
That's a
I
big thing.
returned to UMD to compete in collegiate Fortnite tournaments, it was
Mhm.
dominance. Um,
Got it. So
so
do you
that
still play in college, or was there like a team?
yeah, so after I returned to college, I started forming the Fortnite team, and we were
Okay.
the number one team in 2020
Wow.
during the pandemic. So that was probably the other tournament that's really memorable for me. But um,
Interesting.
I'm still I'm debating making a return to collegiate Fortnite for the fall. I
Mhm.
took a little bit of a break, kind of focusing on school and uh,
Yeah.
obviously the internship and job search as well. So
Mhm.
um, I'm
That makes
considering a
sense.
return, but collegiate Fortnite really is good fun because you're competing with people you see every day. So
No, that's really cool. I know there's a university near my hometown. So I'm from Austin, and in Dallas at UT at the University of Texas at Dallas, I think they have like a school sponsored like esports team or something. I'm not sure if they play Fortnite, but
yeah,
is that what you started at UMD, or is yours like endorsed or recognized by the university at all? Or is it kind of just you got a group of people together?
yeah. So it started with just the gaming club on campus. So I became
Okay.
president of that, and then after we won the national championship in Fortnite, we were competing against a lot of teams that had formalized
Okay.
programs, and they had scholarships. They had a facility where you could go and play on high-end computers. And after we won that,
Got it.
I mean, my teammates, we all thought to ourselves, well, we're the best, right? So
Yeah.
why don't we have that?
Uh-huh.
So
That makes
I
sense.
we ended up writing a pitch to the school. They liked our idea, and over the course of probably it's been about a year and a half now, um,
Mhm.
the esports program at UMD has started to get built out. So
Oh wow.
um, we have our website launched. It's
Uh-huh.
umd.esports.edu, and we recently hired an esports coordinator, and we have just under 6,000 square feet claimed on
That's 6,000 square
start
feet.
building an esports
Wow.
facility. So things are coming together, and
That's insane.
esports at Maryland is hopefully going to be surviving after
No,
I
yeah,
graduate. So
it's gonna be a top program in the country. And that's actually where I kind of wanted to go, which was like beyond just gaming, like lessons or like actions you took from there. Like clearly, like you took the initiative and you actually created change at UMD, which is amazing. Like you took something you're super passionate about, you I guess even added like a pitch or like some business sense to it, and you made something happen. You put money in that space that you're passionate about. Were there any like major learning lessons you think you had while you played, or even when you still play today, that you think kind of went beyond just gaming and you kind of applied to the rest of your life?
yeah, I think one of the best lessons, this was way back before I dropped out. I remember
Mhm,
talking to, it was kind of like my mentor in the Fortnite scene. He was already in the professional league.
mhm,
He was the one that was pushing for me to get promoted. But he told me he thought the best way to be good at anything is to pursue something that you really enjoy doing.
mhm,
And I feel like that kind of stuck with me. So, you know, as I thought about what I wanted to do with my life, I was like, I don't even know why I'm at school, right? So let's pursue
mhm,
Fortnite. I know that I can be good at it because I love doing it.
mhm.
And as I've transitioned into school, that similar mindset has, went
Re-
into business and
Yeah,
finance. So,
yeah.
um, I think that's kind of a big lesson that stuck with me. And, as I start to build out my career here, it's going to be an important aspect that I will keep in mind.
Mhm. Also, just like, I mean, if all of y'all met up in New York for like the World Cup, I'm sure like, and as like tacky as it sounds, I feel like there were a lot of opportunities to, I don't want to say network, but like, I'm sure you've met like some really, really cool people. Has that could you talk about that aspect a little bit, and just like, I don't know whether it's like a cool person you've met or like a cool opportunity you've gotten out of this. Like, is there anything that kind of speaks to you when I mentioned that?
Yeah, I think a lot of my friends from the Fortnite community have transitioned into like roles at esports companies. So
Mhm.
one of my good buddies from Fortnite, he now works at FaZe Clan, which is like probably the
That's really
most
cool.
probably the most recognized gaming company. Um, so he's a broadcast producer there. I have friends that work in management and other esports organizations. So I think as I move forward, the plan is to stay in finance for now, but gaming, I
Mhm.
think in a corporate development setting or um, some sort of different role outside of finance, it's always kind of in the back of my mind. So
Yeah,
I think building
yeah,
those relationships is probably going to be or continue to be important to me as I.
yeah, that's true. And I know FaZe like literally just went public like at like this
Yep.
past week. So I don't know if that's gonna be more hires. But yeah, that's actually that's a really cool opportunity.
Yeah.
Um, I guess like the only other question I would ask is like going and transitioning now, where obviously we're both coworkers at JP Morgan, we're in like the specific program. Like, what is your goal with like kind of moving forward? Yeah, I know you like mentioned like potentially getting in the gaming business, but like how do you balance like corporate with like something you're passionate about? Or is it like just like you're now fully passionate about like working at JP Morgan or like in a financial institution?
Yeah. I think especially this past year, the
Mhm.
gaming has kind of taken a backseat
Yeah.
and the career and finance has really been put in front. Because I think when you're young, establishing a reputation is really important.
Mhm.
Having the JP Morgan brand, I think, is going to position me really well going forward if I do want to make a career change.
Mhm.
Whereas if I
Agreed.
prioritize gaming early on, I'm pigeonholing myself. So
Yeah,
I think that starting my career at JP Morgan is going to allow me a lot of optionality going forward. So um,
I
so far, it's
agree.
been a really great
Yeah.
experience, and I think overall, it's been a really massive step for my career.
Uh-huh. So like 10 years out from now, do you kind of have like a plan or like where you want to take this gaming or JP Morgan stuff, or is it like you're kind of just playing it by ear?
Yeah, I think right now I'm juggling whether gaming is something I could see myself pursuing in a professional setting.
Mhm.
I'm really interested in, more of the finance, banking, and buy side as well.
Yeah,
So that's a consideration. So um, right
fair,
now, I
fair.
think I've been trying to plan things out, but I spoke to my mom recently, and
Uh-huh.
she told me all of the things that she thought she had planned out and how differently it turned out. So
Yeah, yeah.
I
I'm
like to
sure.
I like to try to
But
think I can plan things, but I think it's a feeble attempt sometimes.
yeah,
So
I
we'll
feel
see
like
where I
that
end up.
goes, that's true for most of us. But yeah, I mean, I didn't have any further questions than that. I thought this was like an insane interview, just like to listen to this side. Like I've never heard from like a professional gamer before. If you have any like parting advice, plugs, like any videos you think are like kind of display the skills and like stuff that you did, whether that's for gaming or something else, now's your chance to plug that.
Yeah, absolutely. In terms of parting advice, I would say, if you're a younger person in high school or in college, do your best academically. I think it'll set you up long term to pursue your passions.
Mhm.
Because you don't really get that opportunity later. So set yourself up well in the short term, and it'll give you the platform to pursue your passions long term. As for my shout outs, I'll just shout out my Twitter. It's just B_Hegs, B_HEGS on Twitter.
Mhm.
And shout out the UMD Esports program, of course. So esports.umd.edu. If you're a high school or college student, maybe looking to transfer or interested in esports, consider the University of Maryland. So thank
Brilliant.
you for having me, man.
Cool. Thank you so much for coming on.